has been met. Okay, so today we are going to look at the looping statements. Okay, where we have the while loop, we have the for in loop, we have the for loop, we have the do while loop, and then later on we're going to dive into the jump statements. I know you might basically not understand, but we're just going to write codes, then explain further how they work. So I believe everyone has their VS Code ready, and yeah, let's create our first file. Let me push this on the top. Yeah, so I'll say, let me just create a new folder, call it looping. Okay, then under it, I'll create a new file and say for.dart. I think that's okay. Yeah. Now in for loop, this is what happens. The for loop is used when we know how many times a block of code will execute. Okay, so when you know the exact number of times that you want your code to be iterated, that's when you use the for loop. Okay, and maybe just to introduce basically what the looping statement means, it's you repeat something until you get it right. And the Dart loop is used to run a block of code repetitively for a given number of times or until it matches a specified condition. So loops are essential tools for any programming language. And they let you repeat a block of code like multiple times. It's like running on a treadmill until you reach your goal, you know. So yeah, now I'm going to write a simple for loop statement, or rather block of code, and then I will break it down to you so that you may be able to understand whatever is going on. So first things first, we said the void main. This is the entry point of our code. The compiler starts compiling codes from this point. Okay, and then I'll say for bracket int, and I'll say I, initializing I to maybe, yes, we just say 1, and have a semicolon, and then I say that I is less or equal to 5, and then I'm going to have an increment here. Close it, and then I'm going to open that, and then we're going to print just a basic word like hi there. Then I'm going to close it with a semicolon. So that is very, very keen on its the syntax. Let me enlarge my screen so that you can be able to see that. Okay, so I'll save that. Now let me come here to explain whatever is going on. So we have the main function, right? The main function, which is the entry point of every Dart program. And then we have the void, meaning that the function does not return any value. And we're going to see how this works when we dive into functions and methods. And then, so here, when the program runs, execution starts from there. I've said it again. Now let's come to this line here, okay? We have, I'm going to break it into parts. We have the int I part, we have this part over here, we have this part, and then we have the last part, okay? So I'm pretty sure you're wondering, what the hell, what is going on here? So this is a for loop, and it is used to, you know, repeat a block of code multiple times. But I told you, when you know the exact number of times that your block is going, that your code is going to run. So let me break it to you. This first part, we call it the initializer, rather the initialization part. So I'm trying to say that a variable I is declared to set 1. I'm declaring this variable I to 1, okay? This second part, I is less than or equal to 5, is the condition, okay? So the loop continues as long as the variable I is less than or equal to 5. And then we have the last part, which is the increment. So which means that after each loop, I is going to be increased by 1. Okay? Let me just explain shortly what I plus plus means. So it is like I, it's like me saying I is equals to I plus 1. Okay? This is what is happening here. That after you see our initializer, we've set I to 1, meaning that our next value is going to be 1 plus 1, which is 2. And as we move down, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, as we move on to the next one. So this loop, how many times do you think it is going to run? Okay, I see Wesley saying 5 times. Okay, somebody else, just a quick guess. How many times do you think our high there? Because it is our output. You see this output here. How many times is it going to be displayed on our console? So it is 5 times, okay? Yeah, so let's just run so that you can see whatever is going on. So initially I said you can use the run button, you can use this play button here to run your code, or you can use your terminal to run your code, you see? Yeah, so the high there has run how many times? 5 times. But let me use the terminal so that it can be a little bit, so I'll just cd into looping because I'm in a different directory, and then I'll run my code. So dart 4.dart. And you see our output has been displayed how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 times, okay? I want to try something. Let me see. I want to interpolate it. So it is going to reassign each value that has been set to I. So on each increment, I expect it to assign a numerical value at the end. So let me save it and let me run my code again. So high there 1, high there 2, 3, high there 4 till 5. This basically, I told you the function of interpolation. You assign a numerical value inside your string value, okay? Yeah, and that is the for loop. So yeah, I think that's it for the for loop. I think we can now move to the next one. Maybe if there's any question. Okay, so use the for, okay? Then inside you have to declare the initialization, set your condition, and then the increment later, okay? Just follow those steps. Okay, let's create a new file and let's go to the for in loop. We have another loop for in dot. Yeah. So let's see what happens in the for in loop. Now, this is similar to the for loop that we've just done previously, but it has a different syntax. So it iterates through an object's properties and it accepts an expression as iterator. And it iterates through the elements one at a time in a sequence. So if you want to loop through items, for example, in a list, this loop will be very, very instrumental. It will come in handy when you want to do something like that. So let me just write some code, then I'll explain. So first things first, void main, and let's open there. and then I'll come and say, okay, this time I don't want to use, let me first declare something here. So I'll say list, for example, 1 equals 2, and then I'm going to have a list here. So list, I'm going to assign values to my list variable. Okay, so I have 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Then I'll come down here and say for, open the bracket, var I in list 1, because that's our variable. I'm going to close it, then open, yeah. And then I'll say, what do I want to print? Let me say print value of I. Then close it with a semicolon there. Save it. And yeah, so let's break down and see what is happening. You basically know what is happening here. So let's come to this line number 2. So now var is how do I say, it's a data type. It's like it's telling the program to infer the type automatically. I don't know if I'm making sense. Let me show you something. So let me present something else that I can better explain to you. What var does. Okay, good. Yeah. So in that, the var keyword is used to declare a variable where the type is inferred by the compiler based on the value assigned to it. Take note of this, based on the value assigned to it at the time of initialization. So this means that while you don't explicitly state the type, that determines it for you. So once the type is inferred, it becomes fixed and cannot be changed later. Okay, now let's get back to our code. And I'll explain it further and more better. Good. For example, let's assume this, okay? If I say var, for example, age equals to 30, what it is telling us by inferring is that the Dart program will automatically know that the value that we've assigned to this variable is an integer. So in this case, it will know that this value 30 is an integer, it's a whole number. In the case whereby I'll say var name, okay, equals to Wells. Don't worry, Wells is my name. So it will infer the value that has been set to this variable name as what? As string. So that's the main advantage of using this. So if you don't know the exact type your value is, you can just use var, and it will just automatically infer the value in accordance to the correct data type. Okay, so you don't have to worry, explicitly defining that the variable name is a string, because Wells is a string. Okay, but in the cases whereby you don't know what this value is, you don't know if this is a string, then you can just use what? The var keyword. Okay, so I hope you've understood there. Let's get back to our code. So in this case of ours, that is inferring the type automatically. And in this case, it becomes a list. Normally, when we want to display this list, what do we do? How do we infer the data type? We say that because we're going to display a list, right? But in our list, we have whole numbers. So I'll come here and say int, okay? Then say maybe this is list 2, and then have my digits there. If, for example, my list has string values, I'll just come here and tell it that my list is going to have string values alone. I'll come here and change all that. Okay, to boy, to girl, okay, something like that. Okay, let's now, you've understood this line. Now let's go to the next one. Now, so this list, it holds 5 integer elements that you've seen. Now, this is a for-in loop, and it is used to iterate over elements in a collection like list. So this line, the var I, okay, it's declaring a loop variable named I. And then in list, this second part, it means that for each element in the list, assign it to I. I don't know if I'm making sense there. And then run the loop block. Okay, meaning that our first I will be what? Equal to 10, right? And then our second I is going to be 20, and exactly greater till our list ends, which is the 5th iteration. So it's a simpler way to loop through lists compared to the classic for loop with indexing, basically. And so this opens the body of the for-in loop, and the code inside will just run once for each item in the list. So you don't have to repeat it all over and over again. So let me just save this and let's run. So it's dart for-in dot dart, right? Let's see. Yeah, and there are our values. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Okay, let's move to the for-in loop. So we have discussed the looping here. We've seen how to use the for loop. We've seen how to use the for-in loop, right? Now the next thing, let's look at the while looping. Okay, and with the while looping, it is used when the number of execution of a block of code is not known. It will execute as long as the condition is true. Okay, so it initially checks the given condition, and then it executes the statements that are inside the while loop. For example, if you need to loop to loop until a condition is false, you can use this loop. Okay, it's like repeating a task until you are done. But here's the catch. With the while loop, you use it when you don't know the number of execution a block of code is going to run. Okay, you don't know the exact number. So maybe just quickly in the chat, who can tell me which one can you use when you know the exact number? Okay, we've said that the while loop, you use it when you don't know the exact number. Maybe it's 100 times, it's going to iterate 100 times, it's going to iterate 200 times, 1,000 times, and it's going to crash your code or your machine rather. Thank you, Wesley. So that's the for loop, okay? So that's the main difference. The for loop, you know the exact number. The while loop, you don't know, and I'm going to save this, okay? Okay, Wesley, I see you are hitting a challenge there. We will come back and see exactly where the problem is. Okay, so let's see this for loop, the while loop, sorry. So let's create a new file and call it while.dat, and then see how does it work, okay? So Let me just give you a syntax first before we write the code. So you have the while keyword for the loop, okay? Inside it, you're going to set a condition. Then, after the condition, you are going to have your code of block. And this code should run until the condition is true, okay? So that's the main difference. Let me just push this one down here. Yeah. So again, basically what it does, the first thing, it is going to check the condition first. Okay. Number two, if the condition is true, then it runs the loop body. Let me just write this for you so to have a better understanding. Let's come here. Okay. So the first thing we've said, it's going to check whether the condition is it's going to check the condition first, not okay. Once it has done that, number two, if the condition is true, then it runs the loop body. It's going to run the body. Okay, runs the loop body. Number three, after that, what happens? After each loop, okay, it is going to check the condition again, just to reconfirm, am I still on the right track? So after each loop, okay, it checks the condition again. Then number four, what happens? The loop will stop. But why does it stop? Only if the condition becomes false. If the condition becomes false. So these are the 5 steps that the loop statement will follow, always follow, okay? First thing, check the condition first. Number two, is it true? Yes, run the loop body. After each loop, after each loop, it is going to check the condition again. So if it runs the first loop, it confirms the condition. Is it true? Run the loop again. Is it false? Stop. Okay? Yeah, and yeah, that's it. But if you forget to update your condition, the loop might run forever, and it's not always encourageable for you to have your loops running at infinity. That's a risk. Okay, so it is best when you don't know how many times the loop should run in advance before using it. So let's write some code and understand how does it work. So let's start with the void main there. Then let's have a list. Okay, I'll just var and call it just the same, list 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Come to the second line and say, let me initialize. I'll say int I equals to 0, meaning my first value, I've assigned it to 0. And then I'm going to have now the while statement over there. So we said that is while, then you have your condition inside it. And I'm saying as long as the value I is less than the list, we're using list 1, right? So dot length. I'm going to explain this, so don't worry. Okay, what do we do? Print the list 1. Will be here. Then close it. Is there something else I've forgotten? Something looks missing. Okay, I'm supposed to have, let's say, index I, and then because the increment should happen at the index. Mhm. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, push this one down. Let me save it. Let's run and see what output you're going to get. So we have 10, 20, 30, and 40. Good, 10, 20, 30, and 40. Now let's break it down. So we've already declared the list, right? And inside our list, we have 5 integers. Coming to here, I'm saying that this one, I'm declaring an integer variable I, and I'm setting it to value 0. Okay, so meaning that I will be used as an index to access elements in the list during the loop. Okay, the I is used as sorry guys. The I is used as an index here to access the elements in the list during the loop. Indexing is the position of the values that we have inside our list. And we said that 10 is at index 0, 20 index 1, 30 index 2, 40 index 3, and 50 index 4. So indexing, we don't start with 1, we start with 0. Okay, so I'm initializing the first value here. Okay, first position I, am setting it to index 0, meaning our first value being displayed will be 10. Okay, let's come to this one. So what the hell, what is going on in our code? Which condition is this? So first of all, this is the start of the while loop, meaning the loop will keep running as long as this condition that we've set here is true. And I'm going to tell you how is it true and at what point does it become false. This list 1, I know you guys know now what I is, but what about list 1 dot length? What does it do? It basically tells us how many values do we have in our list. And in this case, we have 5. Okay, so which means that the loop is going to run while the indexing of I is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay, so the loop will only stop when I reaches 5. I'm not sure if I have made sense there. Let me just repeat it again. When you look at our condition here, we had initialized the value I to index 0, meaning it's going to assign to display the first value here in our list, which is 10. And 10 is at index 0, yeah? Okay. Come check this out. Our list, the length of our list here, the length of our list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5. Okay? But in this 5, we said that our conditions, the indexing is na 0, sindio? So we have 0, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if I'm making sense again, but I really hope I'm making sense. Okay, and we just uncomment it. So we have 5 values in our set, and list.1, its dot length is showing us how many values do we have in our list. We have 5, but each of these values has been assigned to a specific index position, and these numbers here 0, 1, 2, 3 are the indexing, meaning we have 0, 10, 1, 20, 2, 30, 3, 40, and 4, 50. Okay, so that's what is going on here. So this loop is going to run while the value I, and I is standing in for the index position of the values in our list. So as long as the value of I is either 0, is either 1, 2, 3, or 4, this condition is going to be true. But if we have something else like 5 here, then it is not going to display anything. Okay. So when the value of I reaches 5, it is going to stop. Let's look at what is going on here in our printout. So inside the loop, this is going to print out the value of the list at index I. We are printing out the list, okay? But we are not, we are sorry, we are printing out the values inside our string based on the index position. So one by one by one. Let me just go back here and explain to you, just to recap to you the definition of a while loop. So while loop, it executes as long as the condition is true. It initially checks the given condition, then executes the statements that are inside the loop, okay? Yeah, so this is basically what it does here. If ningetoa hii I hapa, I just want to show you what will happen. You see we have an ordered output here. It won't be like that. Natoa hii, ni save, alafu ni run, muone venye itakuwa. It is going to output the entire list. Unaona venye inatoka? This is what we don't want this to happen. Tunataka output each value kwa hii list yetu. So that's why we have to precisely or explicitly define that we want our output to be displayed one by one, each value by each value by itself. Hatutaki the entire list. Tunataka ikuwe in a certain order, right? Yeah. And yeah, I think that's all for the loop. Yeah, good. Inafaa nimalize content leo. Let's go to the Dart do while loop. It is the do while loop over here. So what it does, it executes a block of the statement first and then checks the condition. Now this one is funny. Tumesema kwa while loop, it first runs the conditions. Ndio, ina check the condition first, then it's going to run our code, our block of code. But with the do while loop, it is different. This one, it executes the block of the statement kwanza, and then it checks the condition later. So if the condition returns true, then the loop continues its iteration, okay? So it's kind of similar to the while loop, but the only difference is in the do while loop, a block of statements inside the body of the loop will execute at least once, okay? Let me show you how this happens. Tukuja hapa to let's create a new file and I'll call it do while .dat. Quickly void main, then tufungue, right? Alafu nitakuja niseme which example can I use? Thinking of a nice example. Let me say the, for example, A equals to 1. Okay, then nitakuja hapa chini niseme var maximum. Now these are new words, but you just know equals to. Let me assign it 10 here. Then I'm going to introduce the do statement. So do, then I'm going to open. So this one tumesema it's the do while loop. So it first runs the statement, then checks the condition later. So this is our statement here. Print. The value is, for example, what can I use? Let me interpolate it. Okay. So each value assigned to A is going to be displayed here. Then I can say A plus plus, meaning I'm incrementing the values of A by 1, or I can decide to use, let me comment this. Let me comment this. Instead of saying I is plus plus, I can say A equals to A plus 1. It's the same thing, same thing. It will still work. After this is now where I'm going to run the condition now. And the same while the value of A is less than the maximum. Okay, we have an error. Tuone iko wapi, tutoe hii. Good. Things now okay. Let me save. Then I'll run it later, but let me just explain quickly. So here we are declaring a variable A and assigning it the value 1. Okay, I know now you should be understanding that. This is the starting point for the loop counter. Here now we have something called the loop counter. So starting points of the loop counter. Okay, let's come here. This one, we are declaring another variable maximum with the value 10. So this is another variable here. Now let's move to the do loop. Okay. Oh, I'm forgetting something. Now here, after we've declared this variable maximum and tumeipatia the value 10, so this one, it acts as the loop limit. So the loop will continue until A reaches 10 or more. Okay, so let me just write it. So this inside it acts like as the loop limit, which means that the loop will continue until the value A reaches 10. Okay. Yeah. So tumaanisha the counter to 1 na tumeiset limit to the maximum value to 10, si ndio? Haya, let's now come to the do. So here, this is the starting point of the do while loop. Okay, this is the start of the do while loop. And so here, this loop is going to run the block of code at least once before checking the condition. That's why unaona after the do tuko na statement, then the condition inakuja baadaye. Okay, so let's come to this printout here. So this is the current value of A to the console. Okay, nasijui kama niandika A vizuri. Well, but tumeona hapa the feature of interpolation, we've interpolated it string interpolation, meaning it is going to insert the value of a into the string. Okay, kuja hapa, this is the increment. Okay, so it increments the value of a by 1 after each loop. So after loop ya kwanza inaongeza 1, ya pili inaongeza 1 tena. So this ensures that the loop moves closer to the stopping condition. Okay, so when we have 1, the next number will be 2, the next one will be 3, the next one will be 4, etc., until we reach to 10. Now let's come to the last line, which is our condition. So this is the condition for the continuing, for continuing the loop. And the loop will repeat as long as the value of a is less than the maximum. Okay, so that is, as long as a is less than 10, it is going to run. So unaona hapo tulikuwa tumeset the initial value to 1, right? Na tukasema the maximum, which is the limit, is 10. So if the value of a is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, it is going to run, or 10, it is going to run, because the maximum value is equal to 10. Okay, so just quickly, I want you to type for me, what set of values will I have? Is it 0 to 10? Is it 1 to 10? Is it 1 to 9? Is it 0 to 9? Is it 2 to 8? Just give me a range. Mnafikiria ni gani? Lavender is saying 1 to 9. Thank you, Lavender. Someone else? Yeah, Wesley 1 to 9. Patricia 1 to 9. Kuna mtu mmoja na ngoja. Favored. What do you think? Good, good. You guys have now understood. So let me just save this and then run it. So is that do while dot. Good. So we have the values 1 to 9. Correct. Yeah. We have the jump statements now. Tunaingia kwa jump statements. We have break, continue, return, and assert. But let me just briefly explain to you what jump statements are. So jump statements, they control the flow of execution by breaking or skipping sections of your code within loops, could be conditional statements or even functions. Okay, so I'm going to show you a rundown of how, rather, the most commonly used jump statements in Dart. And the first one is the break one. So the break statement immediately stops the closest and closing loop. It could be a for loop, a while loop, or a do while loop, or even a switch statement, and it moves to the next part of the program outside that loop or that switch. Okay, so it will just basically exit a loop or switch statement early, right? So let me just give you a block of code so that we can run it. So I'll just come here. This is looping. Let me create a new folder. I say jump. Then I'm going to create a new file, call it break.dart. And let's see. So there you go. Let me just paste for you this. I had written it earlier. Okay. The code is in the chat. You can just check, paste it so that you move quickly. Now here, this is a for loop basically, and it starts with I. You see, in our initializer, tumeset the variable I to 0, si ndio? Alafu coming to our condition, tumesema I should be less than 5, and then we're going to have an increment of each value by 1. Haya. So the values of I will be nataka tu kuona kama mmeelewa whatever we were talking about in the for loop. Kipatiwa hii example, okay? Avoid hizi hapa chini. Just this. What will be the output? Okay? Niko na void main hapa, nika specify the for loop. I've initialized the value I to 0 na nikasema this loop should continue as long as the value of I is less than 5. Okay, so it will just increase the value of I by 1 after each iteration. So what values do you expect? Just assume hii part ya if peke yake, assume hiyo hapo juu. Okay, 0 to 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's beautiful. At least so we are on the same page. So this one, it is going to, without the block huku chini, it is going to output the values 0 to 4. Okay, and now let's come down here. We have introduced another statement, the if. So this line is going to check if the current value of I is equal to 3. Okay, and then it is going to break if the if condition is true. That is, if the value of I is equals to 0, then the break statement immediately exits the loop. Okay, so no further iterations of the loop will occur, and the control moves to the line after the loop. Okay, so hapa in the output tuna expect, but we have another condition here saying that if the value of I equals to 3, then stop, break the loop. Break the loop. Okay, so if we are expecting 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, after introducing this condition here, what do you think the output will be? I'm waiting for your responses in the chat. Nione. Already to expect 0 to 4, but to introduce this statement, this condition here, tukasema, if the value of I will be equal to 3, then break that loop. Stop execution. 0 to 3, yeah. It's because that condition has been true from numbers 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 4 cannot be output because now the condition will be false, right? So it will only display 0, 1, 2, and 3. So let me just run it haraka. We see, so break dot. Let me save it first, then run it. Error. No such file. Oh, need to get into the directory. Jump. No. MacBook mambo mingi. No such file. Oh, we are not in the looping directory, sorry. So cd and then cd again to jump. Good. Then that. Then it's break.dat. Yeah. So we have 0, 1, and 2. Correct. That's the break one. It will break the loop once that condition has been met. Let's move to the next one, which is continue. Continue inafanya kazi gani? Now, the continue statement, it will skip the current iteration of the loop. Okay? and proceeds to the next iteration. So it is often used within the for, the while, and the do while loops to bypass specific conditions without stopping the entire loop. I'll just repeat again, or rather come up with a better explanation. So the continue statement, it is used to skip the rest of the code inside a loop for the current iteration and move to the next one. Okay? So as we saw earlier, tuliona the break, it exits the loop entirely. But with continue, it's different. It is going to skip the current iteration, okay, and then it will continue the rest of the code. So you can use it when you want to skip over specific values. For example, you want to skip even numbers. You can also use it when you want to avoid maybe processing unwanted data. Now this is real-time application, okay? Or you can even use it when you want to filter out specific condition inside loops, okay? So again, there's a code I had written earlier. I'll just paste it haraka in the chat. So let's create a new file. I call it continue.dart. Yeah, then it's there. Then have it in the chat. Good. So let's come here and interpret it and see whatever is going. So we have the for loop here. We have our initialization, we have our condition here, and we have our iteration, right? Then coming to this condition, what are we saying? We are saying that the value set to I, if the value of I will be equal to 2, okay, then just continue. Meaning that tukifika kwa 2, skip the value 2, and then print the rest. Okay. Yeah, so it is going to skip. Let me just write it here. So the continue statement, it skips the current iteration of the loop and proceeds to the next iteration. And in our case, the iteration is 2. So meaning if you have value 2, it will skip it and output the rest. Our condition here is telling us as long as the value of I is less than 5, then output, meaning what we are expecting is 0 to 4. But in our list, tukiwa na value hiyo 2, kumaanisha tutakuwa na 1, tutakuwa na 0, tutakuwa na 1, 3 and 4. Okay? Yeah, so let me just quickly save it and run to 1. So that continue. That's that. So you see we have 0, 1, 3, and 4. So it will skip 2 and output the rest. Okay. Yeah. Then lastly, lastly, we have return. Okay. So what does return do? Return, it basically exits from a function. Optionally, it returns a value to the caller. So when the return is executed, no further code in the function is executed. No further code in the program is executed. Okay, let me show you how this is done, for example. So I'll come here, let's create a new file to go up with jump and call it return.dat. Then I'm going to define something here before. I'm going to have a function sum, and then I'm going to pass parameters inside it, which are values. So I'm going to say int A, int B, okay, nifunge, then I open it like that, and I say I want you to return the values of A plus B, okay. Now this one, it is basically going to just return the sum of A plus B, but we have to assign these variables values. So down here, I'm going to introduce now our get, call it the get. Then I'm going to save. Then I'm going to call the function, which is sum. So the sum function, then I'm going to pass values inside it. I can say 3 and 2, something like that. Okay. So let's see. Finish again. Sorry guys, I had to run this one. I see we are almost time. So that return that. Let's see, the value is 5 now. So with the return, basically, it tells the function to send back a result to wherever it was called. And in this case, you see it is returning the result of A plus B. Okay? So once return is executed, the function just ends immediately. And the calling code in the main function gets the result. Okay? So huku juu tunafanya tu the definition. And then we call the function here. I thought we would handle functions today, but because of time, we can do that on Thursday. But you will see how we can call functions and how you can reuse functions. So hapa juu nime-assign the function sum na nikapass parameters ndani. But when I'm calling it, I passed some parameters, some values. No, not parameters. I'm passing arguments inside it. Okay? So once I do this, I am calling this function. And this function was supposed to return the summation of A and B. That's why you see our output was 5. So you can also as well just go and dive deeper, know how return works, and yeah, you'll be able to understand. So I think we can do the last one, then call it a day, which is the assert. So with the assert statement, it is used in developing or in development to enforce certain conditions. So if the condition is false, then it stops the execution of the code, and then it is going to throw an assertion error. So although it is not strictly a jump statement, it just helps to enforce control logic, the control flow logic during development. This one is kind of advanced. It's not a jump statement per se, but it is useful for control flow. And I'm just going to show you how it works. Let me send you the code I'd written earlier in the chat. You can paste it and see how it works for you, and I'll as well do it here. So I'm going to create the file, call it assert.dat. Okay, then I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so let me just tell you what is happening. So here we have declared the integer variable age to 18. Sindio, it may assign the value 18. But it's important, let's come here to this line. So the assert age is greater or equal to 18. Tukasema age must be at least 18. This is the assert statement here, and it is used mainly for debugging and development time checks. Okay, yeah, so maybe you can just include it here. Is used mainly for debugging. debugging purposes. Okay. Yeah. So here it is going to check this condition. Unajua hii ni condition already. See, normally in the if statement, where is the if? In the if statement here tulikuwa tumesema if the height, if then we pass the condition ndani yake, alafu we have the printout hapa. But with this one it's different. Where is it? With the assert it's different. Una compile both the condition and the output statement in the same bracket. Okay. So first of all, it is going to check if this condition is true. If it is true, then the program will just continue normally. But if this condition is false, then the program is going to throw an error, and it is going to stop the execution, showing the message age must be at least 18 years. Okay, so let me just save it and run it tuone inafanyaje. So that nitoje assert. So let's see, unaona this error imenini hapa. We can see the error. Let me just push this one up. It's saying invoked that program must have the main function defined. Let me check. Let me see if the problem is indeed on my side or there is a problem. Hii assert nimeweka kwa ni gani? I'm in the jump, right? Yeah. Okay, let me run. Okay, it's okay. So you are 18 years old. It's because this condition has been met because we had already declared our values here. So if this condition is correct, then it displays the normal message. But if it is wrong, tuweke hapa kitu kama 17, if I save it, it will
I think maybe he has a network issue. Oh.
Sorry for that. I lost my connection, but yeah, I'm back now. So I think I can handle questions now, but that's all I had for today. On Thursday, I hope you guys will be available so that we work on functions. We understand how functions are done. I want us to quickly finish up the fundamentals, not to go kwa Flutter. We want now to build the real mobile apps sasa. So when your availability will enable us deliver fast and on time. Otherwise, it will take too much time on the basic deliverables, not able to meet the goal. So yeah, if you have any question, yeah, maybe you can ask. I hope, Lavender, you've been assisted to download the necessary tools zenye unahitaji.
Hello, I have a question.
Dan, if you are trying to speak, we can't hear you.
Hello, hello, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, okay.
We can't hear you, Dan.
Um, I think I can hear you, Dan, but I
Oh,
think Stanley has a network issue.
oh,
Hear him.
nilikuwa nimemute.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is how can you request for user input? Like the way you do in C, for example, if you request for a user input and then you store to a certain named variable, even yeah, in C. So in that, how can you do that when you request for user input? How can you assign that input to a certain variable name? So that, for example, when we are doing this return or even assert, for example, the assert, if we say age is greater than or equal to 18, we have assigned it specifically age to be 18. But what if we want to the user to enter their own age so that we test if the program works both for age is greater than or equal to 18 and when age is less than 18.
Oh, okay. So you're like saying you don't want to like have them. You don't want to define the entire thing in your code. You want the user also to have the how do you call it, an accessibility to input their values manually, si ndio?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Kitu kaa
sasa
hiyo.
with that we normally have some libraries that you have to import. Sidhani kama you can manually do that, kama venye tunasema kwa C++ you see in, you know, in that hiyo hatuna. So especially if you're running your code in the console, you can accept, yes, you can accept the user input using the stdin, the class from the .io library. So there's a library called .io. Sorry. Let me acha niseme input dot. Okay, so there's a library that you have to import, and I think this one you have to download it. Maana inaleta error. Inafaa udownload hii expected string, try removing no. So unafaa kuwa naye, imeandika vizuri kweli. Should have this and then this. Yeah, yeah, it's correct now. So ukiwa na hiyo, it's a bit complicated per se, but not that much. So tuseme for example unataka kupass string for example, si ndio? So we are going to do this. So to void main normally, then you print your name. So tuone void main. Okay, then sema print nikwambie enter your name for example, then close it there, alafu nitakuja hapa and I'll do this. So string name, then stdin. You see this has to be there. meaning it is going to read whatever the user types in the console. Okay, that's the basic function of the that stdin dot read line sync. So it reads the user input as a string because we want the user to input a string value. Sawa. And then sasa we can have the final printout. For example, we can say print hello, alafu to interpolate the value ya hiyo jina ataweka. It is the name. Sindio? Oh, sorry. Then I close it there. So let me save it and then run it to one. I'll use the terminal. Okay, so that then inputs.start. So unaona imekuja enter your name alafu niseme Stanley hello Stanley. So yeah, you can actually do it, but take note of the syntax or when you want to do that. So first of all, import the library .io and then make sure to pass this line. This one, it will enable the compiler to read the input yenye user atakuwa ameweka in the console. Okay? Yeah, that's how we do it in Dart.
It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question from Favored, Lavender, as we wrap up? Okay, I assume we have no questions. So you guys continue practicing. Yeah. You had mentioned how to push your code to GitHub. Oh, Lavender, you've raised your hand. Yes, you can ask.
Not really a question. I need, okay, I want to know the extensions I need and whatever else I have to download so that I can be able to do this because I haven't been coding this whole time. I
Oh,
just downloaded the zip file and extracted it.
okay. So, did you get the link to the zip file?
Yes,
Have you downloaded it?
yes.
So, in your terminal, I want you to type this dot dash version just to check whether the Dart SDK has been installed in your machine. There's a command I've pasted on the chat. So just try to type it in your terminal to see if it has downloaded. Can you share your screen? Oh yes, Favor. You can leave the call. We have finished the session. So thank you so much, guys. Hope to see you in the next one on Thursday, same time. Yeah. Lavender,
The
you can remain so that I can guide you.
okay.
Yeah. The rest you can feel free to leave. So Lavender, you can share your screen.
Okay.
Let me disable mine.
Here is the. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can, but maybe you can try to enlarge the
Okay.
the terminal. Yeah.
Okay then.
You're using Windows, or which OS is this? Ubuntu.
Linux, yeah.
Okay. With Linux, it has a different way. Let me just send you the guide on how to install it on Linux. There are some commands zenye you just have to paste it in the terminal, alafu itakuja.
So
So I'm sending it in the chat. There you go. So just copy and paste it line by line.
okay. I do it on the call or I can just do it on my own time?
Are you free? You can still do it.
Oh, okay then.